So, first thing, kind of first things first here, I am, uh, we're talking, we're going to talk the first half about lineup card management and what you can do about lineup card management, which is going to include a few things about pregame, the lineup itself, and how to keep the lineup, and some rules. So we're going to incorporate a lot of those things, and then some getting better, some thoughts. Uh, the statement is very much a part of this. This is coming from my mind. It's not endorsed by CSUA, although they are. Uh, I'm doing this on my own Zoom. I'm trying to adhere to the CAA manual and any kind of anything with the NCAA. The NCAA is not endorsing me. The SUP is not endorsing me. There's no inciting group that is endorsing me. I hope to get everything right, and I just hope to give you a better and a different perspective of how to look for things. If I get a rule incorrect, please let me know. We can talk about rules, and I'm kind of involved in one right now online. So if you want to talk about rules, let's bring it on. Okay, so understand this. I say this all the time that anything you do will be seen. There's not one person that'll see everything, but somebody will see something. In this day and age, there's always something that's on film and it can be shown. Uh, be on YouTube for the right thing. I'm going to show you a video, very high level umpire today. It happened in today's game. It's embarrassing. Now, he will get more, his career is a lot more storied than mine, but it happens to everybody. Your individual pieces and what we're going to talk about at the end about getting better at some individual pieces. The lineup card management, conference management, this is one piece. This won't by itself will make you a better umpire, but all of these pieces together will. You got to understand that. It really, the sum of all these pieces is greater than total. I'm a heady guy. I've got a degree in cognitive sciences. So I'm going to talk about your brain. I'm going to talk words like cognition and being cognizant. I'm not going to use the word salient tonight, but salient is a big word here. Everything that you do, be aware. I'm talking about bringing in your brain, all your actions, all your movements, your appearance, everything. Everything about your brain. If one thing you take away tonight, go, man, I just can't be on autopilot. Be aware. Be aware. Pre-pitch, oh, I'm going to hit pre-pitch really, really hard. But the pre-pitch is just a piece. It's conceptual. And talk about being cognizant, I'm also conceptual. So these, I'm going to present you with concepts, and it's application of the concept. We're not talking about, oh, there's a runner on first and a ball hit the left field. What do I do? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what your responsibilities are in a play and then applying it. So let's talk about pregame management and lineup card. I'll say one thing first. Don't look at the first names on this lineup card. Okay. Now, of course, everybody's doing it. Yeah, they're male names. This is a lineup card I could use. I got it off the internet. I had all this set up and then realized there's male names on here. Let's pretend they're female. So when you go to the lineup and you do an inspection of lineup card when the coach hands it to you, what I do is I count the players. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm not counting the positions. Some people might count the positions. That's fine. I'm counting, are there 9 or are there 10? And if there's 10, I look where the DP is and I look where the flex is. So I say, I count 10, I see a DP flex. I count 9. That just confirms with the coach, are they playing with straight 9? Or are they playing with 10? Examine what does the card need to be before it's official. You need to have first names and last names. If they have the pre-print down here at the bottom, which they do, only the last names are okay. Okay, and I actually will highlight that. I'll say first and last at the bottom, so the last names are okay here. It needs a coach's name. How many of you examine a lineup card for a coach's name? Now, Most of them will have the preprint just like this one does, but you might come across one where the coach's name is not listed on it. What do you do if there's no coach's name? You don't start the game. That's the penalty. The penalty is you don't start until the coach's name is on there. Now, here's a debate. You can check the lineup card for duplicate numbers in accurate positions. So some people might count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. You don't have to. I don't. If I notice that there's duplicate numbers, I might say something, but I'm inclined not to, because as this little asterisk has, this is a play for the coach, for the opposing coach. I'm not going to take away a coach's play because the other coach can't get it right. They're big boys and girls. They should know the rules. That's your discretion. If you want to do that, fine. I'm not going to say don't. I'll give you a reason why I don't. After you examine it, make sure that there's 9 or 10 players. There's a DP flex if there's 10, and everything looks okay. Hand it back. Some of them won't take it. Some of them will go good. And that's fine. When you get both coaches, when you get them both back, announce the lineups are official. Are there any changes at this time? Use that phrase verbatim, because that is really an official start to the game. Okay. If someone does make a change, just don't show the coach the lineup card that you made the change. Ask the coach, do you have that change? Here is the change. DP's going to pitch. Ask the original coach and say, does the press box have the change? Because it's usually maybe the home team. Ask if the press box has it, because if they do, you don't need to report it. It's already made, and they'll probably do it in the announcements. But make sure that everybody has that change. Now, this is the important thing. I said this over the weekend. This is all you have to say about eligibility. What are phrases you don't say here? Don't say, hey, coach, are all the people listed on the lineup card here? No, that's not even a rule. Don't say, well, coach, if there's nobody here, scratch them out. No, that's not a rule. Don't say, coach, can you circle the starters for me? No, you don't say that. You don't say anything. Take the lineup card.
He's got to go.
Play. Okay. Now, I want to talk about duplicate numbers and accurate positions here for just a moment, because it's a penalty called inaccurate lineup card, and I'm going to demonstrate this later. That's a play for the other coach. If it's on defense and they've just made a play, we're going to nullify a pitch. If they're on base and if they're on offense and they're on base, we're going to get an out. So this is why I kind of don't take this out of the opposing coach's hand. Now, I'll tell a story. I was working the Commonwealth Championship, and I was the off umpire. After the pregame, one of the coaches comes running up to me with the other team's lineup card. I'm off. I'm sitting there with a bag of candy, and she says, "What happens when there's two same numbers on the lineup card?" And I'm like, "Don't know." But here's the rule book. So we looked at the rule book. This player that was listed incorrectly was the leadoff batter, and she led the conference in hitting. In the top of the 7th, he was the 3rd batter up in a 1-run ball game. The 8th batter got out. The 9th batter got out. So she comes up. It doesn't matter. If she gets on base, she's going to be called out because her number's listed incorrectly and the game's going to be over. Now, fortunately, she grounded out or something, so we didn't have to go to a protest, but we were ready. To this day, there's only 2 people who knew that lineup card was wrong. It was me and the other coach. Okay? So when you finish this is something else I said on Saturday as well. Cover the ground rules. You yourself, don't go, coach, can you take us around? No, you cover it. And if there's something in the field that's crazy, like the top step or a net or something else, when you go out to check the bats, give a little cursory inspection of the field. And if there's a step, go coach. How do you play this? Are we talking about the line here? Are we using the chalk line? Is there no cleats on the step? How are we going to play this? And then you can cover it at the pregame meeting. Okay, so ask before the pregame meetings. If it's non-conference game, make sure you know if it's a halted game or not and what kind of tiebreaker. If it's a conference game, go there knowing the conference policy. Okay. If you're at a game where there's a flight, you can set a drop dead time. You can drop dead time only on a flight. I believe that was a test question. Okay, that's it. There's how quick your pregame meeting should be, and that sets a tone. So your tones, remember, we're talking about little pieces into the whole. If you go out there and you're fumbling around with your mask and you don't have a way, if you're taking lineup cards and you're just shoving them in your pocket, okay, those are the things that lead to your credibility being diminished. Now, another thing that I do, you don't have to do this. This is just the world according to me. On the back of each lineup card, now, unfortunately, I threw all my lineup cards away from last year, and I haven't had one from a few years ago. But what I do, I take my lineup card, okay, and so then I will fold it in half. And on the back of the lineup card, I will create this table that you see here. This table is my conference tracking when I'm on the plate. Okay, so that's what I'll do. I'll have one for the one team and one for the other. Okay, and then what I will do is I will take the two lineup cards and I will put them back to back like this. Okay, then I have my lineup card holder. Notice it's nothing fancy. It's just the old USA ASA lineup card holder. And I'll put them in my lineup card holder this way. So when I put them in my pocket, I can do this correctly. Notice I got it there, but I can open this like that one. And then my conferences will be back to back here. And then I can open this one this way. Okay. That's how I do. And I set those in there loose. I set those in there loose. I also put this in my back pocket. And I don't know if you can see on camera, but it's got a really nice curve. I'll let you guess what that curve is. It's in my back pocket. Okay. This is what I do. Now, I also have this little conference card this is business card. So I can fold these. Okay. So it's business card side. I've got one team here. I've got one team here. And when it's a double header, I can flip it around. I got one team here and one team there. And if you want, I've got everybody's email address. I can send this to you if you would like. Okay. That's just something I use this on the bases. This is what I use on the bases. It's nice. It fits in the jacket pocket. We'll talk about conferences here in just a moment. But let's talk about substitutions. Because we're talking about lineups and substitutions here. Understand you got a player coming in, player going out. In NCAA, substitutes cannot re-enter, only starters can re-enter. Okay. And I really hate the phrase pinch runner, pinch hitter. No, it's a sub. One goes in, one comes out, one's in until another player comes out. Okay. The DP and the flex are positions. This is standard across all softball that uses DP flex. NCAA, if you start with 9, you got to end with 9. NCAA has no shorthanded. Okay. There was one game I wasn't a part of. They had 9 players, they had 10 players. Player got hurt. She went to the hospital and a player went with her. Well, now you got 8. And the whole team can go now. Okay. If you start with a DP flex, you can end with 10, you can end with 9. That's pretty much standard. The DP flex, they're fixed at the start of the game. You can sub for the DP. You can sub for the flex, and I'll show some examples of this. If the DP is playing defense for someone other than the pitcher, or excuse me, other than the flex, that person becomes the OP, the offensive player, and that's important in NCAA. Okay. Now, we'll talk about the marking system here. Here's the thing about a marking system. You can develop your own, but it has to be readable. And it really has to be readable by somebody else. This is a marking system that was created by Emily Alexander in the dark ages of softball, back when the softballs were white. We're going to use circles, and we're going to use some slashes when some people are out of the game. But if we're going to use an X for the DP flex, we'll see how it is. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Okay, so let's talk about some standard changes and how the lineup card would look. Why I say this is the one thing you need to be is efficient with the lineup card. Okay, that's why I keep my lineup card holder in my back pocket. I don't keep it in with my ball bag with all the balls and my brush and everything else. I get it to where I can find it real quickly. I can pull it out. I know where the home team or visiting team, if it's the first base side or if it's the third base side. Okay. I open it up. I can make the changes and we're ready to go. So here's the first one. And so this is a visitors lineup. In the top of the second inning, they're on the top of the inning, they're on offense. So number 55 hits a single, and the coach wants 31 to run. So here's the action. We're going to mark the card, and I'm also going to give you this piece of advice. Notice what I've got here for the phrasing. 55 out, 31 in. You can develop your own. 31's going in for 55. That's common. Remember that whatever you say first is what the person hears. And that's what they got to find on the sheet. Okay, especially for people that don't care what the number of the sub is. They're looking for the starter. 55 out. Oh, I can go right to 55. And who's going in? 31. So I can write 31 next to 55. Just something to think about. So now my marking system, I'm going to circle the sub. I'm going to write the sub in. So now I know that if anybody is uncircled here in the substitution, they're the ones in the game. I don't have to cross out 55. I don't have to do anything else. Simple and clean. And then after the inning, the coach wants to re-enter 55. Fine. I'm going to mark the card by only circling 31. That tells me now that 31 is out of the game. If 31, if the coach wants to bring in 31, I can see down here that 31 is already circled. So can't enter. And I know that if 31 is anybody is circled in the substitution is out of the game. Okay. Now, to start the bottom of the fourth inning, the coach wants, so this is to start the bottom. So now they're on defense. The coach wants number 12 to play second base. Okay. So this is easy. Again, 11 out, 12 in. That I'm going to go to 12 and write 12 in. That's the same thing that we saw earlier. Okay. And also something else here. I'm not recording the inning. I'm giving you the inning here to show the progression of the game. But I'm not recording what kind of inning is happening. I don't care how many outs are happening. I don't care anything else. All I care about is my card accurately reflects who is in the game. Okay. So now to start the bottom of the sixth inning, the coach wants 19 to play second base. Okay. So can a sub go in here and play second base? Well, sure. I'm going to mark the card here. I'm going to tell the scorer that 12 is out. Now 19 is in. And so I'm going to circle 19 down here, and I'm going to put 19 into the substitution. Now, so this leads to the furthest right hand uncircled substitute is in the game. If both subs are in the game, then that means the starter's back in the game, like 55. Okay, so here that 31 is circled, I know 55 is here. 19 is not circled, so 19 is in the game. But being that the starter, there's nothing on here with the starters, then the starters have re-entry eligibility. Okay. So in the top of the 7th inning, number 55 gets a hit, and the coach wants 31 to run. What do we say? Nope, denied. I like that, denied. Okay, 31 does not have any entry rights because they're a substitute. They've already been in the game and been withdrawn. So the coach gets frustrated and says, well, number 35 is going to run for 55. Okay, that's fine. We can do that. So we're going to put in 35. And now what we're going to do, we're going to slash number 55 because now that starter has been removed the second time and doesn't have re-entry. Okay, so something a little bit different for the starters. I'm only going to slash them when they leave. The substitutes I don't need to slash because once they're circled, they don't have any entry rights at all. Okay. Now, I will tell you this. Whenever you have a substitute, make sure the coach is watching. Your lineup card is the correct version of the game. Okay. Make sure the coach sees that you write the correct number in the correct slot. And what I will even say, after I make the change, I go like this, and they go, okay, we're ready to play. Okay. Now, some people will circle the starters down here. I don't make the coaches request that. I'll show you. I do have some pictures of lineup cards, and you can see what one particular coach does happen to do. Okay. So some non-standard changes here. Again, same people, top of the second, 55 gets a single, 31 going to run. We saw that last time. That's fine. So in the bottom of the second, the coach informs you that number 31 will pitch and 33 will play third base. Okay. So now what we have to do is that we have to record the position change. An accurate lineup card has the positions that they are playing. So what we're going to do, we're going to change the positions here just by putting a little slash in the position and writing the position that they are playing. Okay. And then we're going to give the other team that change. So again, continuing with the game, in the bottom of the 4th inning, a batter runner is put out at first base. So now they're on defense. This lineup card's on defense. The offensive coach comes and informs you that number 11 is playing first base. So what do? Well, you look at your lineup card and you see that number 11 is listed as the second baseman. And then you verify that number 11 did play first base. So you kind of rewind that play in your head and you go, yeah, number 11 was over there playing first base. And by the way, number 11 is wearing a first baseman's mitt. Not that you can do that. You can do that at second base, by the way. So when you do is you go to the defensive coach, you say, coach, we got an inaccurate lineup card. Number 11 was playing first base. We are now going to nullify that pitch. So we bring the batter back to the count they had before they put the ball into play. And then you ask the coach, what position is everybody playing? Is number 11 playing first base or is she playing second base? And what is 34 doing? Because 34 is listed as first baseman. Okay. Make sure that after you have that play, then you say, coach, fix what you need to fix. Because then we're going to play. You already had your penalty. We're going to move on. Okay. In the bottom of the 6th, number 4 gets a hit. Okay. This is for the other team. You don't see the lineup card. Okay. Then the coach tells you, oh, excuse me, this is the top of the 6th inning. They're batting. Number 4 gets a hit. Okay, so Clement gets a hit. So number 11 is due up next. And then, without a pitch being thrown, that number 28 is in the batter's box. So that's scenario 1. Scenario 2 is a pitch has been thrown, and then the defensive coach comes up and tells you that 28 is in the batter's box. So what are the actions here? Think for a second. Are they the same? Are they different? Okay. Well, in number 1, 28 is not in the game. She has not participated yet because there hasn't been a pitch. Being in the batter's box in and of itself is not participation. Okay. The same thing is number 11 isn't out of the game. Okay. Number 11 is still in the game. So now, being that it was brought to your attention by defensive coach, you go to the offensive coach and go, Coach, who do you want to bat? There's no penalty. Okay, we're going to fix it. The defensive coach didn't do it at the right time. In number 2, since there was a pitch, in NCAA, she has now participated unreported. What we're going to do, we're going to call her out. Number 28 is out, but now she's in the game. So she has now participated. She has now played. She's now in the game. And we're going to move on. Okay, we're going to inform the other coach. Number 28 is in. Number 11 is out. And then the coach can do whatever she needs to do at the end of the inning. Okay, that is a unreported sub. Now, that's what's different here, that being that she was an unreported sub, once she has participated in the batter's box, that would be eligible for a penalty. If that number 11 comes up to bat, but she's listed as number 12, she would need to be on base before you get the penalty. So in an accurate lineup card, you got to complete your at bat. Last year, I had 6 coaches not understand that once they're in the batter's box, you can get a unreported sub. They all felt that the batter had to complete their current at bat. And in one of those, the coach knew that they were unreported. On a 2-2 count, the other coach informed it, so fixed it, and then 2 pitches later hit a grand slam. Okay. So continuing with the non-standard changes, since number 28 is now in the game, and number 28 was the third out. So to start the 7th inning, the coach says, I have multiple changes. They want to put 35 in for 3, want to put number 10 in for 8, and want to put number 48 in for 34. Is that allowable? Okay, think that for a second. The coach, before the inning starts, okay, number 3 was to lead off, but now the coach wants to put in 35, number 10, and number 48. Is that allowed? Okay, this is tricky because 2 of the 3 of them are allowed. We can put in number 35 and 10, but we can't put in the one beyond the third batter. We can put in the first 3 batters in NCAA. Okay? I've had that request once. Now, if the coach comes up and says, you know, the second batter is going to be number 10, I've had that quite a few times. Take the change. Take the change and give it to them. Take the change and give it to the other coach. You can do that. Then you don't have to worry about it. They are reported. Even though they're not participating right at the moment, they are reported, and it's okay. Okay? Now, here is the goal. The goal about substitution is to make it efficient, but when there's something crazy, take your time, especially when coaches are putting in multiple subs, multiple positions, somebody got hurt, and they're moving people around. When in that case, you can look at the lineup with the coach and make sure all the players and positions are listed correctly. Okay. Now, to end the game here, so this is a tricky one. When 35 strikes out with a 2-0 count, number 10, the defensive coach that number 10 is an unreported sub. Remember, that was the second one. and shows you his lineup card that he doesn't have the game. Okay. So remember, you walked over there and went 35 in, 3 out, 10 in, 8 out. And the coach didn't hear the second change. Well, guess what? Your lineup card is official. Thanks, coach. You may have not gotten the change. I have the change. It's official. We're playing ball. Some quick DP flex. Okay. So to start the pregame, the coach informs you that number 9 will pitch. Yes, that's fine. But now here's we're going to use the X and we're not going to use arrows. We're not going to do all this big marking on the lineup card. We're just going to put a little X and we're going to make sure that we include the new position for the DP. Okay. We do this to satisfy the rule. This shows that the flex is out of the game, but out of the game because the DP is playing defense for her. It's also showing that the DP is now in a defensive position. Notice we didn't slash through the DP because she's still the DP. She's now the DP playing defense. She's the DDP, defensive admin player. Okay, and if you're wrestling fans, that should sound fun. Okay, now in the bottom of the third inning, the coach tells you that number 21 will come in to pitch. Okay, so now this is a tricky one, especially when you have the flex out of the game. If the coach comes in and says now 21 is going to pitch, it may be assumed that 21 is coming in for the flex. But 21 could also come in as the DP and pitch, and the flex is still out of the game. So when you have this situation, the coach, and you know how coaches come out, they come out and go, 21's coming in to pitch. Great. Who's she coming in for? Please clarify this with the coach. Don't make any assumptions. And after that, the coach looks at you. Well, I guess they're coming in for my flex because I don't want to lose Lynch as a hitter. Okay, well, great. Okay. So now what you're going to do, since the flex has come back in, we're going to circle the X to show that both the DP and the flex are playing. We're going to enter 21 that we've already seen, and we're going to not have the DP pitching. Okay. And now we have to say this. This comes up every couple of years. There always seems to be this little urban legend that when you have this, that 33 needs to re-enter first to reestablish the flex before a substitute can go in. That is incorrect. The flex position, even though the flex position is currently not in the lineup, it's in the game. It's in the game. So it's just kind of an active, not active sort of role rather than a reestablishment. Okay. Now you say that and go, of course. What the hell is he saying? Yeah. And next year it's almost to go, they've got to reestablish that flex. Okay. Number 33 still has re-entry because 33 left at the beginning of the game. She has not been in or out of the game at this point. Okay. The bottom of the fourth inning, the coach informs you that number 9 will play first base. Okay. So now Lynch wants the DP to play in first base. So here's what we do. It's not for the flex. So we're not using it. This doesn't involve both the DP and flex. So we're not using the X. The only thing that we're doing is that we're going to now put the DP into a defensive position. And now we're going to list 34 as the OP. Okay. And then coaches may even come out. Now, coaches are a little bit smarter these days. They may say, okay, 34 is my OP. Or they may say 34 is just sitting the bench. It used to be that they would go, okay, the 34 is becoming my DP. No, they're not. No, they're not. The DP is still the DP. That's why we have the term now OP. Okay. In the bottom of the fifth inning, 34 gets a base hit. Okay. The OP gets a base hit. Then the coach wants number 21 to come in and run for her. Okay. And the coach goes, well, she's the DP. Flex can come in and run for her. What do we do here? We deny that request because the flex can only come in to the DP position to run, not the OP. Continue with this in the top of the 7th inning. So now in the top of the 7th inning, number 9 reaches base. The coach informs you that she wants 33 to run for number 9. Is that legal? Everybody shake your head, yes, because it is. So this is a legal lineup move. 33 has to re-enter first. Okay, so 21 will now be out of the game. And now we're going to use the X again. So now we're going to put the X on the DP spot. 21's been circled. And now 33 is running for the DP. Okay. So here's a little note about this. If in the top of the 7th they score enough runs or they go into the bottom of the 7th, the coach is going to have to make some changes. Because now you don't have enough defensive positions because you have 34 is not in a defensive position and you have the flex in on defense, or excuse me, on offense. So either the DP has to re-enter or now the flex is going to go back on. So now the DP will be totally out of the game and the OP will go back into defense. The coach will have to do something. Everything is legal, but right now they can't play defense with this particular lineup. Okay, not enough players. When changes happen, take your time. You shouldn't have any problems with DP flex. DP flex has been around. We beat that rule up. Umpires should know DP flex. Don't let a coach make an incorrect move. Don't let a coach enter a sub in the second time. Don't let any illegal players. Don't let a coach re-enter a starter in a place they different from when they left. Don't allow any illegal moves. Whenever a change happens, don't approach the coach. Let the coach approach you. Okay. So for example, I had a game a few years ago and the opposing coach was a pretty national figure, pretty influential national figure. And he was the away team. The home team had a first baseman who got run for. And then at the top of the next inning, there goes the starting first baseman out to play first base. Well, in between innings, I'm in my place that I should be, and I'm looking towards the dugout, and the coach for the home team is not coming out of the dugout. Well, I look up, and the opposing coach is staring at me because he knows if she doesn't report her re-entry as a first baseman, she's probably going to make a play at some time in the near future. Okay. So I just kept staring at the coach. I knew what he knew, and he knew what I knew. Okay. So I just sat there and I waited for the other coach to approach me. I'm not going to take that out of his hand. This is respect for the coaches that they know the game. I'm going to respect the other coach to know the rules to his advantage. And I'm also respecting the coach to make that substitution because that's her job. Okay. That's not something if you may do it differently in a high school game or a summer ball game. I don't have an opinion about that. But in a college game, you do not inform the coach. Hey, coach, is she back in the game? Nope. You let the coaches play. Okay. So here's an interesting thing. So if the coach asks you about the other team's lineup card, okay, determine what happens here. So if the coach goes, well, wait a minute, something's not right. Number 12 shouldn't be doing what she's doing. Okay, so look at what kind of violation the coach is bringing to your attention. Are they batting out of order, which only the defensive can do? Is it an inaccurate lineup card? Is there a wrong position, wrong number? Is it an unreported substitution? Is it an illegal player? Is it a DP flex OP issue? Okay, determine those things. Determine what kind of violation that there is. Okay? Second of all, depending what is the violation, what is the timing of it? Does the player at bat have a count? Is there a player at bat? If it's batting out of order, who should be at bat? Okay, if it's during an at bat, put the right person there. If somebody has completed, we're going to call only going to get one out in college for batting out of order. Okay, it's the person who should have batted. No other play happens. Let's go. Okay. Is the player on base? Has a pitch been thrown? Are we nullifying pitches? Or are we not nullifying pitches? Who made a defensive play? Okay. Now, this is an interesting situation. So let's say at the start of the inning, the coach didn't re-enter a player. And the other coach, when they're walking by, they go, hey, did number 14 re-enter? You can pull out your lineup card and go, coach, I'll show you my lineup card. And then you can ask the coach, coach, are you bringing this to my attention at this time? And if they say yes, you say, hey, number 14's in the game. Coach, did you know number 14's not she did a big play? So you can do that. The coaches can ask you about the lineup card. Then you can ask, are you bringing this to my attention at this time? Put it right back on the coach. And then the third thing, determine the appropriate penalty. Someone out. Is someone ejected? Illegal players are administered a admin ejection. Okay, I have not had an illegal player, but there was a case of an illegal player a few years ago with DP flex and pitching and hitting in a regional. And they got the player came back to pitch, and she had already been removed the second time because they brought in somebody to pitch or somebody to hit or I think to run a base. Well, when she came in to pitch, he was now illegal. And the other coach got her. The only problem is they put somebody else out there and she was illegal too, and it wasn't caught. Okay. So you got to slow it down with the lineup cards, but be efficient. So there's two different things. Take your time. Take your time. If you need to ask your partner, ask your partner. I was on a game one time, and I've had batting out of order one time in college. I was on the bases. And my partner looked like a deer in headlights because the leadoff batter of the inning walked. Well, that should have been number 6 batter. She was the 7th batter. And because the coach switched the lineup for that game. So the other coach came out, and the plate umpire was fumbling with his lineup card. He looks at it. He looks at it. Then he brought us in. And he goes, okay, we got batting out of order. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call her out. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to call the 6th batter out. That's the number 7th batter. She's back up to bat. We're going to. And he kind of looks at me and I go, yeah, that's the penalty. Let's go. We'll talk about that later. Okay. Efficiency. Now, I want to show you the 2 lineup cards on the left. I found online. It's funny that these are CSUA teams. They're LIU and Central Connecticut. The red, don't ignore the red markings. That was it was a fan who got somebody's lineup cards, and then it was like, cool, look at softball lineup cards. It's like a fan site for lineup cards for baseball and softball. So that's where I stole this from. I borrowed from. So the red circle, because he's like, oh, look, it's a DP flex. So this is LIU, and you'll notice what the coach does for LIU, that they will tick off the starter. And you can see the cards on the right are cards from 2019. These are my cards. Okay. So you can see the coach for LIU did the same thing both times. Pretty consistent. So look at the changes to this person on the left-hand side. I can't tell who's in and who's out. I don't know what RE66. I don't know what this 9 is. Is this a position? Is the DP going in pitch, or did number 1 come in as a DP? I don't know any of that. If this was a suspended game and I got this lineup card to continue the game, I would have no idea. So here in this case, you can see that I have number 9 entering as the DP. Okay, and you can see here 21 came in as the flex to pitch. Okay, now both of these are pretty simple, and I will say this is before the conference rules changed, so you can see how I used to keep offensive conferences and defensive conferences. Okay, that rule has changed. I now keep it on the back of lineup cards, which I hadn't thrown them away. Okay, So understand. So look at even look at this. What is 19? What is RE20? Re-enter 20. Okay. Does that look good? Does that look bad? Okay. Now let's talk about conferences just real quick. So this is again, if you have a card or your own system, it doesn't matter. I have my own little system here because I write this on the back of the lineup card. But what's important is that we make sure that we keep track of the 7 representative to player, R to P, representative to player, and P to P, player to player. Okay. So in this case, for representative to player, I'm keeping a record if it's an offense or defensive conference because there are other rules other than 7 consecutive or 7 total for the game. The BO, as you can see in both sections, is what number is the batter and how many outs are there when the conference happens. It's not necessary, but in case somebody comes back and go, well, we didn't have a conference, I say, yeah, when number 15 was at bat with 1 out. Okay. This pound RE, it's the number of the player who requested a conference. So you'll see that in just a second. So in this case, in the bottom of the second, coach asks for a defensive conference. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark defense as a defense or DEF. It's a second inning. Number 3 is at bat with 1 out. Okay. And then in the top of the third inning, that same coach asks for an offensive conference. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark its offensive conference, that it's in the third inning. Number 2's at bat with 1 out. And I'm going to do this quickly. That's another key piece. I've got this. Boom. Write it down real quick. Lineup card back. We're ready to play. Now, understand this. Okay, later that inning, the coach asks for an offensive conference. You deny that request. Even though they get 7 for the game, we still have the same rules. 1 offensive conference per inning, 1 defense conference per inning per pitcher. Now, can you use all 7 defensive conferences in 1 inning? Yes, if you put in 7 different pitchers. So that is possible. Now, in the bottom of the 4th inning, the catcher asks for a conference. This is now player to player. In this case, we have the F2 here. We have the 4 inning. It's the 6th batter, or number 6 is batting with 1 out. Then later that inning, the shortstop asks for player to player. So in this case, we're marking it, and now you have to use game management. Whenever you have player to player, you should always inform your partner, and you need to inform the team. So when I have a player to player, when the catcher comes back, catch. That's your first player to player for the game. That's your first for the inning. Okay, or the first for the inning, you have 1 more this inning. And at the beginning of the inning, I might say, oh, if they've had 6, catch, you only have 1 this inning. Okay. If there's after the second one, catch, that's your second player to player. You have no more conferences. Base umpire should also be informing like the shortstop and second baseman to make sure, because if we've got a problem, somebody gets ejected. If they have whoever requests that player to player conference, the third one, and they hold it, that person gets ejected. Okay. So now in the bottom of the 5th inning, okay, so we're in a different inning. The defensive team huddles for about 20 seconds, and then the coach walks out to join them. In this case, we have both a defensive representative player and a player-to-player conference. So what we do here, whenever and this goes into awareness, whenever there's a player-to-player conference, look over at the coach. If the coach is a stir and they look like they're going out on the field, then only charge with a representative to player conference. But if they're out there for a while and then the coach joins them, they get charged both. They get charged both a representative to player and a player to player. And if they don't have a representative to player conference for that inning, stop them. Coach, stop. You do not have any conferences this inning. Okay? Unless they're going to make a pitching change. Coach goes, well, I have a pitching change for you. Okay, great. Tell me a pitching change. We're still going to have a player to player. After all of this is done, make sure you inform your partner, because we're still required, or not required, but it hasn't been rescinded that we keep conferences on the basis. Okay. So the final thoughts here, be efficient, have your lineup cards ready, have your writing utensil ready. If it's running out of ink, make it have a second one. The coach is responsible for making that change. Have them stand over your shoulder. Okay. Have them stand over your shoulder. If it's multiple changes, always let the coach inspect. Coach, do I have this right? Okay. Nothing wrong with that. I do all my changes in red, and that works good until the coach puts their lineup cards in red. And you have that every once in a while. Again, I have my simple lineup card holder. I'm probably going to cry because they don't make this one anymore when the backing goes out. I know there's the magnetic ones and the real fancy ones that you can buy for $17.99. Does that make you a better umpire? Okay. Now, let's keep going. So let's talk about some other things that can make you better umpire. And this is probably one of the pieces that a lot of people came for. So this is good. And I want to talk about three things. And this is not, I'm not talking about things in the manual. I'm going to talk about some things that are out of the manual to get you into the manual. The first is the biggest one. What is your brain? Okay. Your brain. Get your brain going. Okay. So your brain is the number one thought. Okay. Your brain, you got to be aware of everything. If you shut your brain off, you're done. You're done. If you're working on autopilot, you're done. Okay. Know your body. We're all different. Some of us are blessed. Some of us are not blessed. Okay. That's fine. That means we have to work differently. But you have to know yourself. If you have trouble moving around the field, you got to find a way to get into good calling positions. You don't want to be the tardy party. I heard that phrase recently, so I'm going to use it. Don't be the last one at the tag play. Control your emotions. Okay, so this is kind of the tough one. It's an emotional game for the players and coaches. It's not an emotion for us. We should be A-B, all business. Okay? Yes, they don't like calls because it goes against them. They want to win. Okay, that's fine. Be confident in yourself that you got the call right. Okay? And maybe that time that they're arguing about that ball or strike that's a little bit off the plate, that you call it a strike, and they go, oh, come on, Blue. Maybe take the heart while they're yelling at you. Okay? Say, yeah, maybe I did miss that pitch. Okay? But then refocus. Refocus, get yourself back. Okay? This is my favorite. Signals. This is one that can make or break you, and it's the one thing that you have in control. Work on your signals. Now, Matt, I'm going to ask you to turn your mic on for a second. Rankin, turn your mic on for a second. You better still be listening.
Yeah.
Matt, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So now we were watching a video a few years ago, and you made a comment about signals. What was the one word that you used when you saw that umpire and his signals? You remember the word you said? Started with an S.
Where were we watching this?
We were watching a video at my house, and you commented on the umpire's signal. You remember the one word you used to describe the umpire?
Started with an F?
S, as in Sam.
Sharp.
Well, you didn't say sharp. You said silky.
Oh, okay.
He said silky. Make your signal silky. Silky smooth. Okay? Those you can work on. If you got to stand in front of a mirror and do that, do that. Get your strike signal. Get that out signal up in the air. Get that safe signal big and strong and parallel to the ground. Okay? That can make or break you. I went to a high level camp this year, and both days we spent 20 minutes doing signals. And this is a high level camp that people paid a lot of money to go to. We're doing signals. If it matters there, it should matter to you. Okay. So now we're going to talk about some concepts. And again, it's not moving to an X. It's what are the concepts? Now, this is a big one here. And I hope you take this to heart. I know that there's other rule codes that have mechanics. And I know that there's especially one rule code where people kind of start out, or two rule codes, one of each, that people usually start out when you learn. And then people got into college mechanics, which are different. And there's phrases of, well, those other mechanics are stupid. They're old. They're outdated. No, they're not. They form a different goal for that organization. And that's fine. There should be no value in that. They require one thing. NCAA requires something else. That's fine. You know what helps you become an umpire? If you know the differences between and the reasons why. The reasons why that maybe one rule code has a base umpire on the inside of the diamond more often. And at NCAA, you may not have to go inside the diamond as often, but you might have to at certain times. Knowing those differences make you the better umpire. Okay? I had an opportunity this year. I was doing some indoor scrimmages. And one of the umpires, there was an umpire there who was watching, who was a high school person, and maybe going to college at some point. And during some costume change, we were working two umpires. I was on the bases. And there was a play that happened. And it was one of those where in high school, yes, I would do this. In college, I have some other options. And that's fine. But I know the differences in those. Okay. And it's the same with rules. If you understand why there's different rules by hit by pitch, different rules with batting out of order, different rules about obstruction, oh God, it makes you a better umpire because you understand the rules. Okay. And NCAA 3 umpire versus 2 umpire. NCAA base is 3 umpire. You read the manual, it's all about 3 umpire. 2 umpire is 3 umpires minus 1 with some different starting positions. That's it. If you understand the 3 umpire, even though if you don't get a chance to work 3 umpire, it's good to know that 3 umpire, and it helps you as a better 2 umpire. Okay? That's tough. It's very tough and it's very difficult, but those are the concepts, learning the concepts and learning the responsibilities. This is a tough one. Every movement should be thoughtful and purposeful. Don't waste anything. You know, sometimes the best thing to do on a play, nothing. Sometimes your best movement is nothing because nothing is required of you. That's a wonderful thing. I can do nothing exceptionally well. Okay. Umpire and priority. Now, this is tough. When you umpire in priority, you got to figure out what the priority is, that when one play ends, another play begins. Okay, so there's always a primary play and there's always a secondary play. Okay, so now this is something that you should never have time off. Everything should be constant, mentally going in your brain. Okay, and I know some of us, everything's always going in our brain. But you start with the pre-pitch. And we're going to talk about pre-pitch. I'm going to talk about each one of these here in just a moment. So the pre-pitch, go through your checklist. What are your responsibilities? What's going to happen? Is there going to be a bunt? Is there possibilities on this play? And what do I do? What are my responsibilities? Do I have a tag up? Do I not have a tag up? Am I going to take somebody to third on this play? Maybe not on third on this play. Do I have an intervening play? Is there going to be a steal? Is there a possibility of a steal? Those are the things in pre-pitch. And then the pre-pitch turns into live action. And live action, we got to umpire in priorities. We got to take all of that pre-pitch, put it together while the action is happening. And then on the post-pitch, okay, the post-pitch, what happens after the play is over and before we begin our pre-pitch? Okay, a lot of people don't talk about the post-pitch. So now I want to, if I can, I'm going to slide this over here. That's not what I wanted to do. Hold on a moment. Okay. One moment, please. This is something that is available for everybody. So this happened in a game today. This is a 3-umpire game, and there's a runner on first. So you got to think about your priorities, whatever umpire you are, and what happens as the play develops. So here's what happens. We got the Okay. Now they're gonna show this again. Okay. After we see her batting. Like I said, this is a pretty good umpire. Okay, been in the World Series multiple times. Things happen. But maybe there's not an adequate pre-pitch in thinking what are my possible plays here, and during the live action, how am I reading this play? How am I reading this play? What are the possible primary and secondary plays that I got to develop? Okay. Now, of course, I'm going to say, you see him on TV, you don't see me. Okay. Pre-pitch, put your brain in the game. That's what pre-pitch does. What are you thinking about? If you're thinking about responsibilities, if it's a 2-umpire game, if it's a 3-umpire game, if I'm on the bases, if I'm on the plate, I've got a pre-pitch routine, and I'm thinking about these things. Last year at a non-NCAA school, we're talking about pre-pitch, and the instructor asked me about my pre-pitch, and I kind of jokingly said, he said, how many's your checklist? And I kind of jokingly, and I said, there's 19 items. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, I'd be right. Okay. Because I'm thinking about, if there's nobody on base, I may be thinking about the responsibilities of, I've got this runner to first, I've got this runner to second. In NCAA, I don't have it. If it's a 2-umpire game, I won't have a batter runner to third when there's nobody on. Okay. But maybe I'm thinking, is there a bunt? What happens if there's a bunt? I'm looking at the fielders. I'm looking at the pitcher. I'm looking at the pitcher, making sure she doesn't readjust, that she's stepping back. I'm making sure that she's possibly not replanting this year, that we've clarified that. I'm making sure that the rosin bag is not a rock rosin bag. So I'm looking, that's pre-pitch on pitch one. Now, if she doesn't bring a rosin bag off the list, now I'm going to think of something else. Okay. But I'm also thinking the responsibilities of my partner. So that's a kind of a different one when you say, what do I have to do? But what does my partner have to do? Because I'm watching what my partner has to do as well. And again, if it's a 3-umpire game, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say, what's my chase zones? What are my chase decisions? I'm going to read that play to chase. But then I'm going to say, if my partner chases, what do I do? If I chase, what do my partners do? Okay. Priority. What can happen first? You know, and that can have, if there's nobody on base, the only thing that can happen first is a legal pitch, and then possibly a check swing. If we got runners on base, am I responsible for the leadoff? Am I responsible for leaving early? Am I responsible for the pitcher still with a legal pitch? We both should be that. Okay. Am I controlling the pitch clock? Okay. Oh God, am I controlling the pitch clock? Am I calling illegal and administering illegal pitch? Okay. So again, that's what I said, first pitch of the game. Okay. So you think about this and it changes. This is the important thing about pre-pitch. Okay. It changes as the game develops. Okay. Is that pitcher replanting? Hopefully they don't. Okay. So, and maybe we can, I don't want to say take a pitch off, but that's not our part of the salient numbers that we have to look at. Like If I get on base at first base, do you think I'm stealing? No. So you don't have to worry about me leaving early. Well, if I do steal, I probably left early. Okay. Is the game a blowout? You know, the hardest game to work is a 12-0 game because you want to get those outs, but you still want to hold the integrity of umpire. Okay. Is the game getting out of control? Are pitchers throwing at batters? Or is there hard slides? Is there some illegal contact possibly? Okay. Those are the things that you have to be focused. Are you focused yourself? Did you miss that last pitch and now you got to bring yourself back? Did somebody steal and you go, oh, did that runner leave early? I didn't get a real good look at it. You got to bring yourself back. You got to forget about it. Okay. Anticipation is good, but don't over anticipate. Oh my God. Okay. One of my worst stories ever, and actually this weekend almost ended up with me selling my umpire equipment back in 2008. Okay. So, shit happens there, buddy. This was a Penn State fall game, and I only saying that to put a little context on this because there were umpires watching. It wasn't a camp, but umpires were watching. And 2-umpire game, and I saw the second baseman give the fist. And I'm like, oh boy, there's a pickoff at first base. I'm going to jump all over this pickoff, and I'm going to show that I can get in position and I can run around like I'm young. Yeah, that's all well and good until the runner steals. I'm at first base and the runner's over there at second, and there's a play at second, like bang, bang, play at second. And guess who didn't get it called right? Okay. So don't anticipate, but you got to put it. Okay. Now, what happens during live action? We got the pre-pitch live action. When the time something happens, this is check swings, kickoffs, steals, pass balls. Okay. All of that's what I call live action. It requires you to do something. Work in priorities. Even if there's a pass ball, your priority isn't going to be a primary throw at second. It's going to be on the other side of second. It's going to be on the third base side at second, like a throwback. So get over on that side of second. I see umpires trailing that runner into second. Beat the runner over there at second because you don't have to worry about getting into position for the primary play at second. Okay, that's the primary and secondary play. When the ball is hit, work in responsibility. Read the play, read your partner. Now, that's something you won't see in the manual, and I have to give Colo that. That's something that he kind of came up with, that there's really two reads, the play and your partner. Okay, so another example, 3-umpire game, first pitch of the game, first batter of the game, I don't know, first pitch, hits the ball into left center field. Okay, and as a plate umpire, I'm reading my partners because my read of the partners is my partner's chasing, and am I responsible for the catch? Okay. Now the ball wasn't going to be caught, so I'm not worried about that. And I look over and I see you three chasing. Okay. So I holler 2-man, 2-man, 2-man. And I look over at you one as the runner's going into second, he's coming home. Okay. So I have to read up for this. So I head out to second. I can get to second. Okay. There wasn't a play. Thank goodness there wasn't a play. As I'm going back, I'm looking over at him and I go, 2-man. And he's like, I can't hear you. You don't need to hear me. You need to read your partner. Okay. So that ended up with a nice little post game chat. Okay. But you didn't read the partner. I don't care if you didn't hear me. You've got to read your partner. Okay. And so here's another one. We got this one actually happened recently. We got runners on first and third, and the R1 steals on a pitch. And the throw goes into second base and goes through second base and goes into the outfield. Okay. Now, this happened to be a 3-umpire game, and I was U3, and it was an inexperienced U1. Now, he was in good position to see the tag that never happened, and the ball went in the outfield. The runner got up to advance to third, and had to go around the shortstop. Okay. I'm looking at U1. He's watching the ball in the outfield. He doesn't see the obstruction. Okay. He didn't see that at all. So at the end of that was a learning point. I said, what did you do when that happened? Well, I followed the ball. Well, what's the ball going to tell you? You got to stay with the play because now you've got to umpire something else. And what's even worse is as an experienced umpire was on the plate. And I asked him, I said, hey, did you see that obstruction in a second? And he's like, no. I'm like, what the hell were you watching? You going to watch the runner coming home when the ball's in the outfield? Okay. Again, watch the play as it develops. A little disappointed with both of them. Okay. There's always a primary play and secondary play, and the actions you take will differ from 2 umpire to 3 umpire. And again, this is the cost of doing business. Here's an example. You got a runner at second. In a 2 umpire game, the base umpire would be out by the shortstop. In a 3 umpire game, it'd be counter rotated. If there's a base hit to the outfield, as a plate umpire in a 3 umpire position, the only thing I got to do is stand up and walk backwards. Okay. Because I'm going to be right at point of plate. However, in a 2 umpire, I got to come up into the holding zone because now I got responsibility for a runner at third and the runner at home. Okay. And then I got to get into the holding zone and read what kind of play is going to happen. Okay. So the primary and secondary plays are different depending on if you have 2 umpire, 3 umpire. You got to pre-pitch that. Pre-pitch what's going to happen, and then live action, you got to execute. Okay. Post-pitch. After the play is stopped, what do you do? Okay. How are you moving to your next starting position? Okay. I got dinged one time in a camp because I moved with my head down. And it's a lesson I learned. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I did not realize that. But I'm running with my head down. The only thing I can see with my head down is the top of my shoes. And the top of my shoes are not going to commit a violation. Okay. Are you maintaining focus? Are you walking? Are you walking with your hands in your pockets? Get your hands out of your pockets. Okay. Those are the types of things. If you are the plate umpire, you're always facing the field. You don't have to wait until your partner gets in the position before you start moving. You can move backwards. You can move backwards. You can move obliquely to get back by the plate until your partners get into position. And then when your partners do get in position, then you can hustle back to the plate. Okay. That's part of pace of game. Okay. Pace of game is going to come up. Always have awareness of the ball, the runners, the fielder, and your partners. Do you have the awareness of that? Okay. If you don't know where the ball is at all time, okay, you need to find the ball. Is the pitcher in the circle? Is the pitcher not in the circle? Are runners on the base, runners not on the base? Okay. Also, be aware of players or coaches if they want a conference. Okay. If I'm the base umpire and I'm running to get into position, and when I get into position, I hear the plate umpire call time for a conference, I'm going to be pissed because that means I had to run to my position when you could have called time for a conference when I could have walked to my position. Same thing as a plate umpire. For player equipment, they all got the elbow guards. Okay. Don't run away from the player and the player's going, blue, time. If they got an elbow guard, expect for them to call time when they get on the base. Okay. And the ball doesn't have to be in the circle before you call time. Action just has to stop. Okay. That's another myth too. The ball doesn't have to be in the circle. It helps. But when the offense is requesting time, hey, you call time. Same thing about requesting a sub. If it's the bottom of the 7th inning and the score is tied and the player looks like me, not that we're body shaming, but if they look like me, they're probably going to get a pinch runner. Okay? Expect that. Meet the coach halfway. And game conditions. Wet balls. We all have to deal with rain and switching out balls when they get wet. Okay? But I hate to talk about this. Why are umpires insisting of having the pitcher throw a wet ball back to the catcher? Just call time and have the pitcher throw the ball off to the dugout. and get a fresh ball in. That's pace of game. I had a game last year where it was wet turf, and we switched the ball out every time the ball touched the turf. 1 hour, 35 minutes. Okay. You can't have that if the pitcher's throwing the ball back to the catcher. Okay. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that to brag. Okay. Understand what you're doing. Okay. Control that game with the pace. And the other thing too, when you have wet balls, okay, when you have and you need to go get more, run to the dugout and get them. Get them when there's a foul ball. Get them when there's a break in the action. Make sure that you have enough. I was involved in a game. I think it was last year. It was the third game of a series. It started early because of rain was coming, and it took 3 hours because the plate umpire would casually amble over to the dugout to get balls for the next pitch. Okay, I was about ready to choke it. Okay. Let us talk about, this is kind of the little bit of tricks and tips here. Standard out and safe. Think about your distance. We're back on tag plays 3 to 10 feet. Okay. One thing is, I really think we all underestimate how far away we are from a bat. Now, I'm not going to talk about specific mechanics, but U3, when you're rotated, is now 6 to 10 feet from second base. And I actually like it. I got some opportunities to work that new mechanic. I really like it. Again, the experienced umpire who was on the plate, who wasn't watching the ball when it went to the outfield, I look over at him and I say, "How far are you away?" He goes, "On 10 feet. Well, I stepped it off. He was 13. Okay. Understand your distances. Understand what close means. And here's something else I'm going to put in here. We talked many, many, many years ago, there was the idea of the third dimension. But I want to talk about angles and distances being 3D, because my 3 to 10, we can all get the same angle. We can all get the same distance, or we can all get the same distance, but we're not going to see the same angle because our eye height is not the same. Okay. There's some of us are 6'5". Some of us are 5'5". Some of us are under 5'5". That is different when we have our distance. The goal is to see the play. Okay, so just be aware of that. Be aware that what works for one person doesn't work for everybody. Okay? As someone who's 6 feet tall, if I'm looking closer, I'm looking down. Okay, I have to back up a little way to get more of a perspective. Just be aware of that. The wedge versus classic 90. Now, I was a classic 90 guy for a long time, and I really resisted even saying the word wedge, because I'm like, we don't need buzzword. We really don't need a buzzword. Okay. But there's something that has really enlightened me this year. There was an early SUP put out that talked about calls at second specifically, that if the fielder was straddling the bag, classic 90 works really well. If the fielder is taking the throw in front of the bag, you're going to need the wedge. And I thought about that and I went, that's the key. The key is because when you're straddling the bag, there's not a lot the runner and the fielder can do. The fielder is going to get the ball, put it down. The runner can't slide by because they can't go anywhere. The glove is fully in front of the base. If the fielder's in front of the base, taking the throw and doing a swipe tag, now you're going to have to move to adjust because more things are going to happen with the tag. And I went, yes. And I was able to put that into some of this winter things that I was able to work. On top of this, we have an obstruction rule that part of obstruction is the defensive positioning. Okay, so you get to that classic 90 or the wedge so you can see the defensive positioning first prior to looking at the runner. Okay. And you know, if you take this away and just try to ingrain that, now this is tough in two umpires. This is really tough in two umpires. It's easy when you're you three on a steal and you're rotated. Great. If you are the base umpire and there's a runner on first and there's a steal, that means you got to get to that position faster. And remember what I said first, we have to understand our bodies. I can get there in a particular amount of time. I have my window. Somebody else's window is a lot better. There are some umpires whose physicality and athleticism have led them beyond because they can make up for misreads. Okay. I am not at that point. I can't, my physical ability will not make up for a misread. Okay. So I have to read that first. I have to get to that position first. Now, fortunately, I can still do that. Plate work. Balls and strikes. Yeah. But there's a timing, there's a rhythm, and there's an emphasis. I got dinged at a camp because I was doing a big old strike. That second, what the manual says, that's what the evaluator brought up. Look at the manual. All balls and strikes are of the same volume. Okay. So I changed. Okay. When the ball is hit and there's a fair foul decision, especially in the infield, you got to straddle the line. You got to straddle the line. You may not see it. You may not see it in that position, but you get there for a credible position and call a fair foul. Okay. That's pre-pitch. That's pre-pitch. If you've got fair foul responsibility, that's part of your pre-pitch. You can pre-pitch on the plate too. You're not just calling balls and strikes. Okay. Marking the ball fair in the infield. I think we do this too much. Okay. If the ball is stabbed by the third baseman down the line, yes, boom, point and fair foul. I've seen it where the third baseman is fielding the ball 5 feet in the infield and we're marking that fair. Well, yeah, no shit, that's fair. Okay. Save your resources because you have another job to do. Okay. That you have another job to do. Okay. All right. Attention to plays and priority. So this is one I've seen a lot, like there's a runner on first and there's a ball in the infield. I see umpires going up to third too quickly before you take care of the play at first base. Okay. Make sure you take care of your priorities first. You can take 1 or 2 steps, but make sure you get that run first, or you get the batter runner first, and then you can take off to third. Okay. Point of plate. I just talked about that, especially in 2 umpires. We got too many umpires floating. We're floating towards third base, especially when a runner's coming home. When a runner's coming home, hit the point of plate. Those that have been in any of my clinics, absolutely, that I've been instructing in a clinic, know exactly what I'm talking about here. And I'm still talking about it. We still got umpires floating towards hanging out in the holding zone. Get to the point of plate. Yes, it's tough on 2 umpires. We're saddled with it. That's our lot. Let's get there. Okay. Line of card holder, we just talked about that. Make sure you can make it efficient. Giving the count. Oh, God. Umpires give the count way too much. If I can give the count under 4 times during a game, I'm happy. Okay. But there are necessary times. Anytime a runner advances, I don't care if it's a pass ball, check swing, whatever, give the count because that's for your partner. It's not for the scoreboard. It's not for the catcher. It's not for the pitcher. It's for your partner. Let your partner know what kind of pitch it was. After every check swing, even, do you go? No. Give the count. 2 balls, no strikes. Okay. Every option play. Anytime you have an option play, if there's an illegal pitch, if there is a illegally batted ball, give the count. Give the count. Make sure everybody knows the count. Every one of us stay here. Dead ball, hit by pitch, stay here. Give the count because that pitch could be a strike or a ball. Let everybody know what you're calling. Okay. don't give the count after every pitch. And action pitches, I know it says in the manual, don't give it on action pitches. Are you trying to tell me that batter doesn't know it's a full count? Are you trying to tell me the pitcher doesn't know it's a full count? Give them respect that they're in the game. Okay. Because sometimes the least you do makes when you do something more important. Okay. I'm sorry, that sounded like soapbox. Okay. Pace of play. So again, I get angry at plate umpires who don't control the pace of play. How do you get the foul ball back? My goal is when there's a ball that's hit out of play, that catcher has the ball prior to the ball hitting the ground. Okay. And I'll work with the catcher. I tell the catcher, hey, we're coming back in here quick. Okay. Get into the play. If I see plate umpires walking around, it looks bad. Looks bad. Okay. Wet ball management. We talked about that. Cleaning the plate. You know what I hate less than giving a count? Cleaning the plate. If I could clean, that's why I like turf field, so I don't have to clean the plate. Don't clean the plate because it's something to do. Okay, people hit a home run and then there's a clean plate. People sweep. Don't do something to make you look busy. And then ball management. I start with 4 balls. I get 2 in each bag. Okay, fill up every inning, and if you're running low, go fill up, get a couple with a foul ball, or get 1 or 2 when there's a foul ball, when there's like a natural break in the action. Don't wait till you're out to go get balls. Okay, I know sometimes it happens, but be prepared. Okay, changing your indicator. This is just something that I came up with last year because of the timer. And on bases, I don't change my indicator till the pitcher gets the ball back. There was always the one thing about, oh, how many times did you change your indicator during the game when you thought it was a strike and the umpire called it a ball, or he called it a ball if it was a strike? Well, now that's 0 because I don't change my indicator till the pitcher gets the ball, because I use that when I'm on a timer. So my timing is catcher catches the ball, umpire calls it, it's thrown back, change the indicator, start the ball. It's something to keep me in a rhythm, and then I can start my pre-pitch. Okay. When you get together, this is another thing too. When you get together the crew, make it quick. Make it quick. The calling umpire should ask the question, does anybody have anything different? Okay. Not, what did you see? I have an out. I have a tag at third. Do you have anything else? Yes, I have the empty glove. Okay, good enough. Boom, we're done. This should be quick. Don't sit out there and talk about this should be 30 seconds. Okay. I hate when these go on and everybody gives an opinion. No one has to not everybody has to give an opinion. If you saw something else, what do you see? There has to be a call. Just like video review. The call on the field stands unless we have enough evidence to overturn it. Okay. Enforce the rules without being overficious. Okay. If you see players banging on a dugout, don't go, time, coach, no banging on the dugout. Okay. Are you enforcing the rule? Yes. Are you being overficious? Yes. Okay. In dead ball action, if you happen to end up by the coach, hey, coach, no banging on the dugout. Okay, I'll take care of that. Just something that controls the game. Rock rosin bags. Don't be afraid to go out and inspect a rock rosin bag or rosin bag. Rock rosin when you see it. When they bring it out because it's the big one. It's the big one, and it's the one when they drop it, it didn't go. Okay. And coaches management. Given a lot of warnings during the year. And maybe you. Okay. How are you managing that better? Now, that's not to say be a nice guy and you don't give warnings. Sometimes you have to give warning. Just like Roadhouse. You be nice until it's time not to be nice. Okay. This is the last one. Choice play enforcement. Now, we have another choice play. We have another illegal pitch this year. Okay. We have the timing. Whenever there's a timing, it's illegal pitch. We have stepping back. We have illegal pitches. We have replanting. That's illegal pitches. We have illegally batted balls. We have catcher obstruction. Is there any other choice play? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, God. Batter interference. retired batter interference are all now choice plays. Whenever you have a choice play and you call it, officiate to the end. Officiate because we need a result of the play. So officiate to the end. When it's over, call time. If you have to get together and say, I've got an illegal pitch. Okay, what happened? Well, the batter got the second, that runner got there. Okay, we're going to cancel the illegal pitch. Oh, we have an illegally batted ball. They threw the runner out at first, but the R1 got over to third. That's the result of the play. Coach, do you want the result of the play? Or do you want the out? Or do you want the out of the result of the play? Or do you want a foul ball? Okay. Those are, take your time with the choice plays, but make sure you get it right. Okay, make sure you get it right. I guess, and there's, well, there's not one other choice play is umpire interference, but that's just a delayed dead ball. If they get the runner out, or they after that play at third at wherever base they're stealing, then it's over. Okay, so that should be it. There was a chat question here. Okay. Okay. So now I know I said I was going to 9. It's 9:06. Close enough. And actually that's well within my margin of error. Um, does anybody want to ask any questions? Feel free to either raise your hand, turn your mic on, and ask a question. Anyone? And yes, I did this without um, the play today that happened where the runner ran into the umpire, out. He got tagged out. That's it. There is no, that does not classify as umpire interference. What that classified as is the runner running into somebody on the field, and they tagged her for an out. So that was an out. And slightly embarrassed, I should say.
I've got something, Brian.
Okay, yes, Kevin.
Uh, I don't know who else does this. I've been doing this for years. It's gotten me out of trouble a couple times over the years. But everything you talked about on the improper player chart, Appendix B,
Mm-hmm.
I take this and I make a copy of it just like this. I bend it over between the third and the between two lines, so it's this big. And the lineup holder you have, I have the same lineup holder,
Mm-hmm.
and then I laminate it, and it stays in my book. And it's a great thing to have if you ever get in trouble. And there's a lot of stuff to memorize in here.
You know, that's a great suggestion. I'm not one, as you can see, what's in my lineup card holder? Nothing. You know, and maybe that is a little bit too much bravado saying that I will know the rule when it happens. Or at least have a partner it does. So I know that if I'm working with you, you better have it in your back pocket when you're on the bases. Uh, so, but yes, that for weird things that happen, like improper player, you're doing. I didn't talk anything about video review because the CSU8 does not have video review. None of the games have video review. If you have that video review chart, you can also put that in your lineup card holder. But what's the balance of that? The balance of that is like an open book test. Yes, you can look up the answer, but is it going to take you how long does it take you to do that? So there is a measure of efficiency because if you're going to take that long, you might as well have the rule book in your back. You know, so that's the trade-off. Evidently, yes, absolutely have that improper player chart, but at least know the differences between unreported, the illegal, the if it's an unreported runner, unreported batter, unreported defensive player. Yes, but that's a great suggestion, and that chart does fit real nicely into the lineup.
Thank you, Brian.
Anybody else? Did I wow you with a? And I didn't have any caffeine this afternoon. I mean, this is pure adrenaline. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm glad you attended. Like I said, this will be recorded. So if you want to go through that lineup, the lineup exercises a little bit slower, so you can slow it down and see each step by step. Develop your own system. The system doesn't have to be the one I showed you, but it needs to be readable, and it needs to have some sort of nice and neat appearance. But everything else, again, this is your best umpiring tool right here.
Hey, Brian, I don't want to delay it, but I had one last question for you.
Okay, yeah, sure.
When you were showing all the changes with the DP flex, talking about the offensive player, et cetera, the last change you made was to bring the original flex back into the game. I think the number was 33.
Yes.
So I understand how you put the X there, but would you not also show 33 as a re-entry?
In this case, okay, so the starters for my system, and again, you can do whatever you want to do. The system that I had, when starters re-entered, there was no marking. The only marking is when they left for a second time, they got slashed.
Gotcha.
And the reason that a starter would be designated as being back in is because the substitution in the far right substitution would be circled. So it's
That would be the last person in the
thing
game.
not circled on that line.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
That's my rationale. But if you want to have some other signal for that, some other symbol, hey, feel free.
Understand. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I thank you again. If there's anything you want me to clear up, or anything else, I hope that, like I said, John, you got your hand up. Go ahead, John Barron. You can just. Are you clapping or you got your hand raised?
Yeah, we're just clapping.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for this. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So thank you, everybody. And with that, we will say good night.
Question.
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Rich. Or who's asking a question?
Yeah, it's Richard Bray. Example.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I had put a question in chat. An example, the way you do your lineup. What's the actual example of multiple pitching changes after a coach has had a defensive conference? In other words, coach goes out in the second inning, his first trip out there, and then he comes out and makes a pitching change, and then he wants to make another one, and then he wants to make another one, all in the same inning. How are you recording that on your?
On my conference card?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the first one would be a conference because they have to inform you of the pitching change prior to crossing the foul line. Okay. So let's say the first inning, first pitch, the coach comes out and goes out and talks to the pitcher, and then he says, "Oh, I got to bring in a sub." Okay. Well, you have a conference, but you're going to make a substitution. So I'm going to mark the substitution on my lineup card. Now, the rule has a real strange wording in that you really do get one conference per pitcher. So in that case, so pitcher number 2, that coach is going to have a conference with pitcher number 2. I'm going to write it on my conference card because it's legal. Okay, even though it says first inning, it's still legal, so I'm going to allow it. Now, if the coach had not replaced the pitcher and then tries to have another one, I've got to know, again, pre-pitching, the coach doesn't have any defensive conferences at this point, or representative player conferences. So if they come out and they're kind of on their way, I'm going to say, "Coach, stop. Do you have a pitching change?" "I don't have pitching change." "Well, you don't have a conference either." Okay. So I'm not going to use any special designation on my conference card. I just know when they have a conference and when they don't. It's part of my pre-pitch.
So you're not making in other words, if he changed pitchers 4 times in one inning, you're not making a notation every time he changes.
No. And to clarify that, they get one for each pitcher. They they don't get cumulative every time they make a pitcher. They can have a conference per pitcher, but if the coach puts in 3 pitchers, they don't get 3 conferences down the line. Okay. Are you hearing my distinction?
Well, yes, but ultimately what I wanted to see was how are you recording it? You seem to have a pretty good way of keeping track of things, and you say we're all supposed to kind of learn, and that's what I was.
Yeah, if they take a conference, and then 3 pitches later they change the pitcher. Okay, then I'll know that by rule they have another conference. Okay, now if the coach comes out and goes to pitcher number 3, they still only have one more defensive conference for that inning. They don't get 2. Okay, but I know that I don't have to. If they come out and then take that conference, I will write that down as one of their cumulative 7 for the game. But I'm not marking it that they took it that it was any special because they had the second pitcher.
Well, that's exactly why I was asking.
Yes,
they do add up, and if you don't mark anything down, how do you keep track?
But because across the top is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so it's going to count cumulative for the game. But I will know that if they have a defensive conference available to them during that inning. Okay, so even if they've taken one and if they haven't changed the pitcher, I know that they don't have a defensive conference. If they change their pitcher, they do have a defensive conference that they have to their disposal. But I don't have to. I'm not writing that down anyway special, because if they take that second one, okay, that's cumulative number 2.
Okay, stupid question again.
Oh no!
How quickly can they use their 7 conferences?
How quickly can they use their 7 cumulative conferences?
Correct.
It would be the top of the 4th. If they haven't changed their pitchers at the top of the 4th, if they put in substitutes, it could get there by the bottom of the 2nd. So they could take one. So they could use 4 in each inning. And then they could take a defensive conference on defense, so they could get it into the 4th inning. The quickest way. That's the quickest way without changing the pitcher. If they do change pitchers, they could possibly get there by the 3rd.
Thank you.
Okay. I think I've had 1 or 2 games where we used up all the conference. I think the coaches now are afraid to take conference. This rule, I think the rule scared them a little bit. Okay.
For defensive conferences, right, Brian? That's what you're referring to, right?
No, total for the 7 total for the game.
So defensive or player to player. Offensive, they get 7. That's different.
No. They get the representative to player, both offense and defense, is 7 cumulative for the game.
Got it.
Yes. So if they took no defensive conferences, they would get 1 per inning. But if the first inning they took an offense and a defensive, second inning they took offense defensive, third inning they took offense defensive, and then at the top of the 4th they took the offensive, they'd be out of conferences for the rest of the game. 7 total cumulative representative to player, with the restriction only 1 offense per inning.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, great. I know we got a long season. Some of us can get on the field now. That's great. Some of us have to wait, which is okay. And hopefully we won't get any more snow and we can get out there and run around. So have a great season, everybody.